Hey, how's it going, friends? I'm Jae Sinnett, back in my kitchen to cook you a delicious meal. Welcome to Jazzy Jae's kitchen. And tonight I'm going to make, there's a story behind this dish that I'm going to make for you tonight. I think a lot of you are familiar with Chopped on the Food Network. Well, a few years back, the cheese company, Sargento Cheese Company, had the home chopped Sargento challenge. And if you know anything about Chopped, they give you 4 ingredients and you have to create a dish. I think 3 different dishes with these ingredients, right? And it was a similar thing, but you do it at home. The contest was we do it at home, and the 4 ingredients that they gave you was Sargento cheese, of course, any cheese you wanted to use, kale, bacon, and oyster crackers. So I decided to enter the contest. I didn't win the contest, but the people that were winning, 5 cheese lasagna, these different kind of sandwiches with all the cheese, not very creative, but kind of comfort food kind of thing. That's who the judges seemed to be going for in that contest. And I was getting a little artistic, a little bit creative on some of my dishes. Like I made a red kale quinoa with a molasses bacon, right? Things like that, and this corn chowder with kale and smoked cheddar. Well, the cheddar you have to use the Sargento cheese. But one of the dishes that I made, I came up with this idea for my bacon scallion crab cakes. Okay, but the difference that I will do tonight, I'm not using oyster crackers. I'm going to use a French baguette, part of the filler in the crab cake. So tonight I'm making for you one of my personal favorite dishes, Jazzy Jae's bacon scallion crab cakes. And they are delicious. Oh, you're going to love me for these crab cakes. And I know we're in the Southeast. Crab cakes, it's like sacred territory, man. You don't venture into a crab cake unless you have a really good one. And I think I have a really good one. So you watch, and if you make them, then you can judge for yourself, right? So you ready to get cooking? Okay, let's do it. Okay, have my bowl here. Now what I have in the bowl right here, this is the inside of a French baguette. Like I had a whole French baguette, cut it in half, and then sliced it open here. And what I do, I just pick out the inner part of the French baguette like that, okay? That's what I do. And I try to avoid the outside because it's hard on the outside. And something else I want to tell you about this bread, there's a lot of sodium in this bread, okay? I mean, like a quarter loaf, there's like 300 milligrams, 350 milligrams of sodium. So just keep that in mind when you're making a dish using this bread, okay? Now here, I'm using jumbo crab meat. Oh, I love jumbo crab meat, man. I also use back fin for this, but I like the jumbo because you don't have as many shells, and it's a meatier crab. It's a meatier piece of seafood. And then, but you'll get these chunks, right? The jumbo, and you have to kind of break these chunks up a little bit in with the bread. Okay. I use a fork to do this. All right. Okay. After I get this, get these chunks of jumbo lump crab meat broken up a bit. That was an interesting contest, it really was. But I was real proud of the dishes I created and then I came up with. I thought they were pretty tasty. Okay. Particularly, like I made this corn chowder with kale and that molasses bacon. Basically put molasses over the bacon and then bake the bacon. Got it nice and crispy, but it's a really nice flavor to go in certain dishes. I put it in that quinoa dish as well, red quinoa with some kale. All right, so I got these chunks of crab meat broken up here. All right, now, okay, put that in there. I'm using some mayonnaise. The mayonnaise is basically a binder, okay? I'm using Duke's mayonnaise. Duke's. Love this mayonnaise. And it gives us some flavor too, right? Now, once you put all these things together, and if your crab cakes aren't coming together, you might need a little bit more of the binding agent, okay? Now, the bacon. I cooked a few strips of bacon, got the bacon really crispy, right? And then broke those pieces up in very little fine little pieces like this, right? So I sprinkle these bacon bits in there. Now I take the zest of a lemon, right? Da-da-da. The zest of a lemon. Yeah. Put this in here too. Getting there, getting there. Okay, almost done. All right. Okay. All right, got my zest of the lemon in there now. Here's the scallion, chopped up scallion, right? Put that in there. A few pieces of chopped up scallion. Scallion. Okay. And just a pinch of heat, I put a little bit of this red pepper in there. Not much, not much. And again, the salt thing, be careful of the salt. I'm only going to put a little bit of salt in here because there's a lot of salt in the bread and you have the bacon in here. Okay, so get my fork back, start mixing these up. See if I have enough of the mayo in there for a binder. I think I do. Yeah, and it starts to come together. Mix it around. Okay, getting there, getting there. A bowl, where is that? And I know a lot of you like crab cakes, man. And I remember the first time I made a crab cake years ago and invited friends over. And they're like, "You're making a crab cake?" Ha. I'm like, yeah, it wasn't these. I made a different, kind of a similar version to these, but I didn't use the bacon and I didn't use the scallion and such, okay? All right, so I think these are just about ready to be made into crab cakes, okay? Here's the messy part now, all right? Now, over here I have my saucepan heating up. Make sure it's not heating up too quickly, all right? Turn it up a little bit, and we'll get ready. All right, my plate. Okay. So I'm gonna make these into crab cakes now, decent size. Might get 3 out of here. 3 decent sized crab cakes. I make them in little balls first, and then I flatten them out like that, like the crab cake. Make a crab cake out of them. There you go. It's 1. Ooh, that would be a huge crab cake right there if I'd have kept all that in there. It's still going to be a nice big one though. Little ball to compact everything. And again, if your crab cakes aren't coming together, if they're falling apart, which they will a little bit, you might want to add a little bit more mayo, okay? Because that's the binder. Oh man, we might be able to get 4 out of here, or 3.5. Probably 3.5. But we're going to focus on 3 for this, okay? Coming together, folks. Okay, all right, flatten that out. That's a bigger one there, nice though. Oh, yep. Yeah, rinse off the hands a bit. All right. Okay, I have my crab cakes made right here, all right, and we're going to go over here to the stove. Okay, set these down here, move my coffee pot over a little bit, and in here, my saucepan. Now I cooked the bacon in this saucepan, okay? And I emptied out most of the bacon fat, okay? But I left just a little bit of that bacon fat in there. Then I added a little bit of olive oil and a little bit of butter. The butter for the outside texture on the crab cake, okay? So I think that's just about hot enough. Yeah. All right. Get these in here. Now, move this plate out of the way. All right. And these will cook just for maybe 3 minutes on each side, 3 or 4 minutes on each side, depending on the thickness of your crab cake. Okay, I'm going to rinse off my hands. Da, 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 da. Da, 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 da. Okay. Yeah, where is the spatula? Right, here we go. Keep that there. And they smell delicious. The crab cakes smell so good. And what would I have with the crab cakes? There are, I don't want to get my face too close to this because it's not popping that much, but you can have your start, some sort of potatoes. You know, I made a sesame squash as a vegetable just to go with it, right? Or couscous. That's something that you don't hear about a lot. I love making different flavors of couscous, like an almond couscous or a blueberry couscous, you know, or an apricot couscous. Just something different, right? Now, since you have butter in here, be careful not to have your fire too high, so the butter will burn. Oh, but they smell delicious. And again, just a few minutes on each side. I was thinking about, like, I have these little fingerling potatoes over there, little baby potatoes. That's also good to go with them, like a Parmesan, a garlic Parmesan baby potatoes, the little baby ones. That's very, very good. I love making my spinach as a vegetable, the sesame garlic spinach, or the seasoned broccoli. A lot of things you can make to go with these crab cakes. And you know, we talk about shrimp and grits, but you have crab cakes and grits too, all right? Because the crab cakes and grits can go with some crab cakes. Yes, they can. Ooh, yes. When I was a little boy growing up, my grandmother in Pittsburgh, the Pittsburgh area, right? My grandmother was born in Florence, South Carolina, and my mother was born in Durham, North Carolina, and then they eventually made their way up to Pennsylvania. And that's where I was born. I was born in Pennsylvania. But I grew up around that southern style cuisine of my grandmother. Oh, never made crab cakes though. Didn't get into crab cakes. I don't even think I heard of a crab cake until I got down here to Virginia. Oh, look at them. They look so good and they smell so good. So I came to Virginia back in the mid-70s as part of the U.S. Navy. I was in the U.S. Navy, and that's what brought me here to Virginia. And my first duty station was the USS America, CVA 66. And once I got out, I just stayed in Virginia, made Virginia my home, and I was introduced to a crab cake and a lot of other things that I hadn't heard of. But I remember the first time I was talking about grits down here, and I'm like, a couple people never heard of the grits. Never heard of grits. And I'm like, you're in the South, man. I mean, they're saying like, no, this is not really the South. This is like sort of the South. I'm like, no, this is the South. From where I came from, this is the South. And you don't know about grits? Everybody knows about grits. Well, I was wrong. Everybody didn't know about grits. These are cooking beautifully. And again, you don't want to cook them too quickly. Let me get my plate. La 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 la. And by the way, thank you for watching my cooking videos. And I hope you are enjoying them, and maybe you tried some of the recipes. I've made several of these videos, and I've gotten a lot of good response from the people that have watched them, so thank you very much. And I'm glad a lot of you are trying the recipes. These are almost done, almost. Some of you might also be thinking, how can he just sit up there and think of all these things to say and pass the time away, right, while these delicious crab cakes are cooking? Well, remember, I get paid to talk for a living on the radio, right? But seriously, though, you know, I like to share stories with you, and a little bit about me, my life, and some of the things I enjoy, my passions. Cooking obviously is a passion, and a lot of you know that I'm also a musician. All right, let's look at the other side of this again. Let's see how these things are coming together. Ooh, yeah, just a minute longer. Just a minute longer. And then I'll tell you again how I made these here in just a moment. I have in the background, it's more smooth, but not all smooth jazz. It's the Yellow Jackets radio station on Pandora. I love listening to this station. Well, first of all, I like the Yellow Jackets. But, so they play groups and songs and things like that are similar to what the Yellow Jackets would play. You know, how they would play. Some of it's flat out smooth jazz, and then others jazz fusion. So it's an interesting mixture, but it's nice to cook to, right? It doesn't get in the way, you know, because my focus is on the cooking. I'm not focusing on listening to the music. Okay. All right. I think these crab cakes are ready. Yes. Oh, we're gonna have room for that. Okay. Set this over here, and I'm gonna come back over here just for a second and dress this up a little bit. This is my Jazzy Jae scallion, bacon scallion crab cake. All right, my bacon scallion crab cakes. Oh man, they're so good. And let me tell you, I'll put this down and tell you again how I make these. I get a French baguette like this, like a whole French baguette, just cut it in half and then split them in half like that. And then I pick out the middle part of the bread. Then I get some jumbo lump crab meat, right? Put it in the bowl with the bread. Get a fork and break up the pieces of the crab meat, mix it in with the bread. Then I add a few tablespoons, maybe 3 tablespoons of the mayonnaise. Now, I'm just cooking for me tonight. I made 3 crab cakes, all right? Well, I'm not going to eat 3 crab cakes. And so the mayonnaise, again, when you're putting the crab cake together, if they're falling apart, not binding well, just add a little bit more mayo, okay? So the mayonnaise, then I chop up some scallions, add the scallions. I cook a few strips of bacon, maybe 3 strips of bacon, get it well done, and so it's crispy, right? Because I break up these strips. I get them into little bits, little bacon bits. And then I add the bacon bits to the crab mixture. Then I get the zest of a lemon, right? I shave the lemon, right? Shave the lemon. I add a little bit of heat, a little bit of red pepper. Okay, just a little bit of red pepper, not too much. And again, keep in mind there's a lot of sodium in the bread, okay? So I don't add a lot of salt, just a pinch of salt, and then you have the bacon in there as well. So there's a lot of sodium in the bacon, unless you use low sodium bacon. All right, You don't want them real salty on it, but you can add the salt to your liking, your taste. But again, keep in mind there's a lot of salt in that bread. I mentioned a quarter of that loaf, like 350 milligrams of sodium. Okay, and what else? Yeah, and that's it. And I put a little sriracha on the plate because even though there's a pinch of red pepper in the crab cakes, that sriracha gives it that little extra kick. So there's a little bit of heat. Now you don't have to use the sriracha, or you don't have to add the red pepper to the crab cakes, okay? But or you can make. Sometimes I make a smoked cheddar ancho chili dip. Right, a little bit of cream, the smoked cheddar cheese, and the ancho chili powder. Stir it in, heat it up, and sometimes dip the crab in that mixture. That's another little sidebar thing you can do with these crab cakes. Or just eat them plain, because they're delicious plain. Just, they're so good plain, right? So that's my dish tonight, Jazzy Jae's Bacon Scallion Crab Cakes. If you make them, love to know what you think. Send me an email to jae.sinnett, that's jae.sinnett at whrv.org. And speaking of WHRV, thank you for listening to Sinnett in Session, Monday through Thursday nights from 9 until 1, Saturday mornings from 1 until 5, and Sunday afternoons from 1 until 5. I also host the very soulful R&B Chronicles on Friday nights. Check me out on Friday nights, the R&B Chronicles from 7 until 8. Until the next cooking event here in Jazzy Jae's kitchen, be safe out there, my friends. Be safe. Okay, be safe, and thank you for watching, and we'll see you again soon with some cooking ideas. Take care.